i's. There we go. All right, the first thing you got to do is copy this down. I is equal to the square root of -1, and I squared is equal to what? Copy those down. Now you're going to get several questions on the test about this, so you might want to pay attention if you suck at it. I is a variable that is used for housekeeping. What in the world am I talking about? Well, it's a whole lot easier to work with I than it is to work with what? Square root of -1. So the only purpose for I is one, to tell you that you take the square root of negative, which tells you that you don't have what? X-intercepts. And it's easier to work with I than it is to work with the square root of -1. So what you need to do when you're doing this section is treat I just like what? X, as far as the basic rules. Now the only thing you got to remember is when you get an answer and you have I squared, you have to change I squared to -1. All right, so the basic rules of algebra, you treat I just like X. And at the end of the problem, if you have an I squared, you change it to -1 and combine like terms. So I'm going to take a, find my, where's my, I'll do it. I'm going to take my whiteboard. Square root of -25, the square root of -36, the square root of -128, and the square root of -75. All right, work those. Now that you know that I is equal to the square root of -1, factor those into -1, -25, or +25, and then simplify. So that's equal to square root of -1 times square root of 25, which is equal to 5 what? Square root of -1, square root of 36, which is equal to 6. Square root of -1, square root of 128, square root of -1, square root of 64, square root of 2. Square root of -1 is I, square root of 64 is 8, square root of 2, which is equal to 8i times square root of 2. Square root of -1, square root of 75, I times 5 times the square root of 3, which is equal to 5i square root of 3. Now these are your basic problems with I. You're not going to see too many of those on the test, but if you don't understand these, then it's going to be hard to understand the basic rules with algebra. Okay? Now let's go into the basic rules of algebra. I times I plus 6 2i plus 3 plus 3i minus 2 5i plus 1 minus 3i minus 6 2i plus 5 times 3i minus 2 2i plus 3 y squared. All right, work those with your basic laws of algebra. Treat I just like you would X. Me and my son went to the movies yesterday. Had to go see the Storks. And then we went to see the Magnificent Seven. Great movie. Great movie. Go see it. The Storks was okay, but it was still, I don't think they can write a cartoon without somebody being lost and trying to find their way home. Zootopia was the only one that wasn't like that. Zootopia was actually good. But I'm sick. I told my son, I said, I'm not going back to see another animated cartoon if it's about someone being lost and trying to get back home. Pretty much. Well, you know, animation has gotten just like country music now. They just go down the road and they make up something and they make a song out of it. No, that's what the animation is. They just make a movie about it. What's The Rogue about? Any Star Wars fans in here? The Rogue. What is that about? Or Rogue One? Is that it?
It's a story made up of it. Or it has no correlation.
They're science fiction.
It's a
probably limited. That's it.
Yeah, I think they should stick with just the original.
Yeah.
And find. I want to see who Rey is.
Yeah.
I want to see who that is.
That's gonna be it.
Yeah, I'm okay with continuing that, but don't be trying to. I think they're trying to start another branch or something.
Yeah, they're gonna milk it for it.
And then another Marvel is coming out. What is it?
Doctor Strange.
Yeah, what is Doctor Strange? Is he a villain or a good guy?
There's a few animated movies.
I saw the trailer.
There's a Netflix one, basically an animated version of that movie.
Me and my son, we watched this weekend. We also watched something of the Galaxies. What is it? Guardians of the Galaxy. That was a cute movie. I actually was dreading watching it because I thought it was stupid, but it wasn't. It was actually, it explained to me the Infinity Stones, because I was like, what's Thor talking about? In Age of Ultron, he was talking about the Infinity, somebody let loose the Infinity Stones. I was like, what's he talking about? I should have watched Guardians of the Galaxy before I watched Age of Ultron.
They're in that order for.
Yeah, duh.
Marvel does a pretty good job connecting all of them.
They do.
Somehow, there's something in almost every movie.
Yeah, I think it's great. I just need to watch them in order.
Yeah.
Duh. All right, so what's this one? I squared plus what? Which is -1 plus what? Distribute the +1 here. Distribute the +1 here. We get 2i plus 3i plus 3 minus 2, which is equal to what? 5i plus 1. Distribute the +1 here. Distribute the -1 here. We get 5i plus 1 minus 3i plus 6. 5i minus 3i is 2i. 1 plus 6. FOIL method. 6i squared.
Okay, I have a question about that.
Yes.
That changes to -6, right?
It will at the end, yes. -4i plus 15i minus 10, which is equal to 6i squared minus what? Or plus 11i minus 10, and that's going to be -6 plus 11i minus 10, which is -16 plus 11i. Now, if you'll notice, this looks like A plus BI, and that's usually the way they want their answers written.
Okay, I was going to ask that. Does the I need to come before I?
Yeah, it comes backwards. Yes.
If I do it before, like, I guess that'll mess it up.
No, it won't mess it up because multiplication is commutative. B times I is the same as I times B.
Okay, so
It doesn't matter, but most times BI.
that's what they're.
Yes. Unless it's in front of a radical, and then you can put the I in front of the radical. So like if you break up the square root of, trying to think of 13i, okay? Or the square root of 13 times I, you put the I in front of the square root of 13. No, square root is, no, if I just have this, 13, square root of 13 times I. Instead of putting the I behind it, I would put the I in front of it, like that. So that's the only other way besides that BI. That's kind of a contradiction to that BI, because you don't want to put the I here because you might think that it's under the radical. So, and what is this one? Shortcut number 1. That should be 4i squared plus 12i plus 6. I'm sorry, plus 9. Plus 9.
Nobody was gonna say anything.
Huh?
Nobody was gonna say anything.
No, they'll wait till after the
Yeah.
problem. And then one person will say, isn't that supposed to be a 9? And then everybody else will say, yeah, that's what I was thought.
That's what I had.
Yeah. And what's -1 times 4? -4 plus 12i plus 9. And what's -4 plus 9? 5 plus 12i. So there's your basic operations. Yeah, you'll see those on the test.
That's not bad.
Yeah, but the main thing is when you get to complete the square and you get an I, now you know how to write it,
Yeah.
which I already showed you that anyway. Now, the only other thing I want to show you in this section is the I exponents. Now, when you do I exponents, I like to do a little Hubertism. I is a fraction of the class, and 1 is a whole class. Even is positive, and odd is negative. Now this is when you have an I raised to a power. Now I only let it do, I don't do fractions, I just do just regular. So I'll go ahead and tell you that. I to the 25th power, 24th power. Well, you can multiply it out, I times I times I times I, 24 times, or you just take 24 divided by 2, and what do you get? 12. What is 12? Well, it's a whole number, so the answer is going to be 1. Hold on a second. See if I can do this. Oops, that's wrong. One is your answer because it's a whole number. What is it, even or odd? So it makes it positive. So if you multiplied I by itself 24 times, your answer would be a what? Positive 1. Well, what about another number? Well, why don't we do I to the 30 or 42nd power? Well, what's 42 divided by 2? Fraction or a whole number? 21 is not a fraction. Whole number, 1. Odd or even? Negative. So if you take I and multiply it 42 times, you're going to get a negative 1. All right? I to the 7th power. 7 divided by 2 is what? 3.5. What is 3.5? A whole number or a fraction? The answer is I. Is 3 odd or even? So it's negative I. So if you multiply I to the 7th power, let's see what happens. I times I times I times I times I times I times I. What's I times I? Negative 1. What's I times I? What's I times I? And then you got an I out here by itself. What's negative 1 times negative 1? What's 1 times negative 1? Negative I. Huh? Yeah, do it 24 times. Like the students in my Math 155 class, I tell them to multiply 2.5 times 10 to the 6th times 3.5 times 10 to the 8th. And I'm going to do it by scientific notation methods. I got this one chick, she's over here writing.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. And then she takes 3.5.
Wow.
And then she goes up here and she goes 250 million times 2 million 500,000. And after she does all that, she starts to do,
That is, if she doesn't enter up in zero, she gets all in the place.
yeah. That's what she's doing. And she's got down to about 8 steps down here, and I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Do you know how to make change? I'm not sure to say, well, how do you do that? Well, 2.5 times 3.5 is 7 point something. And then what's 6 plus 8? 14th power. That's the whole point of scientific notation, is so you don't have to do that. And I've done preached it like 2 class periods. And she goes over to the side and does all that. So yes, I get a little bit irritated. Oh, so yeah, this is the hard way to do it. This is the easy way to do it. So just write it out 42 times and figure it out. While you do it, go ahead and do this too. Oh. What? Yeah.
So it's only going to be I if you end in a fraction, right?
Pretty much, I is a fraction. Yep. So you can do I to the 9th power. Is 9 over 2, which is what? 4.5. So we got a fraction, it's I, but what is 4? And that's it. So make sure, there's 2 things you ought to be able to make sure of. Make sure that you can do all of your algebraics, all of your algebra with I and I squared. Okay, make sure you can do that, and make sure you can do the next one. Now, with this, we're finishing up Unit 2. Okay? We're finishing that up, or Unit 3, or Unit 1, Unit 2, or Unit 3, Unit 4, whichever. Unit 1 is all about the vertical and horizontal shifts, which I've reinforced during this, because I would not want you to make a 60 on the Unit 1 test, and then me go over this stuff, which is reinforcing that, and you made a 60 on it, and then I reinforce it, and you go, I wish I could go back and take that test again. So that's why I don't give the test, I give it simultaneously. And that way, all that you've learned in Unit 3, you can apply to the Unit 1 test, or Unit 2 test, whatever, and therefore, you make a better grade on it. But I'm not ready to give that test right now, because I got to look at the syllabus and see what else I need to cover. I think there's one more thing I need to cover, and that is long division. I think I need to cover that. I need to cover ending behavior, but that's real simple. I can cover ending behavior of high level polynomials. I can cover that and long division in one class. So I think probably we're talking about Wednesday being the end of the unit, Monday being a review over Unit 1 and Unit 2 tests. That means I'll pull up the test, we'll go over both of them. And then probably Monday of that next week, a week from today, I'll assign the test and the homework will be due. So you might want to start working on your homework between now and next Monday. You got a week. Okay? Questions? Gripes? Complaints? Okay, I showed y'all math today, didn't I? Okay, so that one person that's going to complain can't complain now. Right?